But at the same time, like the aesthetic expectation, you're always like looking at like, oh, what could I improve here? What can I improve there? And that can sometimes, the lines of what is right and wrong with that can get pretty blurred. Casting and your self-worth, like sometimes it feels like if you haven't had the best casting, you can take it directly as a direct hit on your self-worth as a human being, especially being very prominent on social media, that obviously people are going to make comments on your body, and grit often leads to success. Hey peeps, how are we all doing? I need to put these leg warmers on. I just thought today, why don't we sit down and do a little chat and stretch, because if I'm being completely transparent, I haven't planned a video for this week and I would love one to go out. So I thought, why don't we just chat and talk about a few things that have been on my heart recently. I know that some of you have really enjoyed these kind of sit down and talks. So this is going to be more addressing things that I'm struggling with right now. On my days, words. Things that I'm struggling with currently, and maybe subjects that other ballet dancers or people in general just struggle with. So let's get straight on to the first topic. I should really do some stretching if I said I was going to stretch. I think one of the first things that I want to talk about is, and maybe the thing that I've struggled with most since being in the ballet world. As some of you know, I used to be a rhythmic gymnast. I competed in the 2018 Commonwealth Games and did that to a pretty high level. And obviously there was aesthetic expectation within that, but in rhythmic gymnastics, you got your minute and 30, your 90 seconds solo on the stage, no matter what. And so I think that kind of gave me a lot of motivation of like, no matter what, I get to determine how much effort I put in, and me getting my chance on the floor to show what I can do is a non-negotiable. Like, that's going to happen. I never realized that I took that for granted until I started ballet, where basically you're fighting every day to get the chance to even have a solo or get a moment on stage where you can present yourself. So I think that's something I've struggled with more coming into the ballet world, and I think that definitely affected also the way I saw myself, how much I pushed myself. I think one of the things I struggle with most in ballet is definitely the aesthetic expectation of a ballet dancer. I don't always feel like many dancers feel this way, because a lot of dancers, we have to spend a lot of time in front of the mirror. We're critiquing our bodies all the time, which is necessary to a certain degree when it comes to technique, because that's the way that you improve. But at the same time, like the aesthetic expectation, you're always like looking at like, oh, what could I improve here? What can I improve there? And that can sometimes, the lines of what is right and wrong with that can get pretty blurred when you're constantly like, well, if this line just looked a bit longer, okay, how do I make this line look longer? And then it goes into other things that are not always so helpful for your career. So I think that's one thing that I definitely struggle with in the ballet world. And you could say the same in the rhythmic world. I think I stopped rhythmic just before, like, I don't know, that stage in life where you become a little bit more aware, a little bit more self-conscious of your body. So I think that's something that I'm still not struggling with, but like still exploring ways that I can approach it with a healthy mindset, ways that I can approach it with grace and compassion for my body, because your body doesn't look the same on any singular day. Like, as females, obviously we have a cycle. So I think I'm learning how to, I always want to be consistent, as we've talked about on this channel. So I sometimes find when my body isn't giving me the same consistency every day, I get frustrated with it. And I'm just like, well, you better get with the program, body. I don't care how you feel. But being that military with it, which is something that rhythmic gymnastics taught me, because that's kind of just the way we trained. It doesn't matter how you feel, you just get on with it. And it's the same in ballet. Like, if you've got a double show day and you don't feel great, you just kind of get up and get on with it. Unless obviously you have an injury, and that's when you have to be a little bit more careful. So I think learning how to take care of my body within this is something that, like, even after 8 months of injury where I felt like I learned a lot about how to do that, I still struggle with. So I definitely think that's something many dancers with compassion, like, you can discuss that in the comments. I also think, comparison is a real thing, because you're constantly around lots of your peers and you're like, well, oh, they do that better, like, why can't I? Why am I not doing more to get better, and blah, blah, blah. So I think comparison is a thief of joy, for one. So that's something I'm trying to work on getting better at, is embracing my individuality as a dancer, becoming my best self, and not trying to be like anyone else or make my body into someone else's, because ultimately it's never going to be anyone else's, it's mine, and I have to embrace that. And once you embrace that with confidence, that's when I feel like you can become the best version of you. But anyhow, it's always also difficult, especially being very prominent on social media, that obviously people are going to make comments on your body and the way that it is, and sometimes shutting those out. I mean, I have the most beautiful community on here. I'm so grateful for you all. But sometimes shutting those more negative comments occasionally when they do come, unfortunately you get like loads of positive comments, you get one negative and your brain just likes to fixate on that. That can sometimes be challenging too. So I think just learning how to take the positive and the negatives, I think it's growing me as a person, growing me as a human, building my character. But I can't say it doesn't sometimes affect me. Like who doesn't it affect? I think comparison, other people's comments and feedback can sometimes be challenging. Ultimately, it makes us stronger and it makes us more grounded sometimes. So yeah, those are a couple of things that I've been struggling with more recently that I'm exploring and sharing. I feel like when you talk about it with others and get other people's perspectives, it can be super helpful. Obviously, you've got to choose those people carefully because other people may also be struggling with it and they might not yet have all the answers, but kind of sharing this as a common problem is something that I think is really beautiful. That's hence why I'm jumping on here and sharing this with you all. I'm just in the studio and the studio is booked out at the moment, but I'm just here and hoping no one's going to come in, so that's why I keep looking towards the door. I think another thing that's really difficult for dancers, and I spoke about this on a recent podcast that I did, is when it comes to like casting and your self-worth. Like sometimes it feels like if you haven't had the best casting, you can take it directly as a direct hit on your self-worth as a human being because your art is so linked to you. We give so much to our art. I spend most of my days in this very studio working on honing my skills, and that can be challenging when you don't kind of get the affirmation of a good casting. But just because you haven't been cast well doesn't mean you're not very able, doesn't mean you're not a beautiful dancer, and it doesn't mean that, you know, there might be another opportunity just around the corner for you. And if you give up at that junction, it can be so discouraging. But if you give up at the junction, you then give up on any other future opportunities that could be around the corner. I've watched people's careers over the last few years and I can see how things can turn around very quickly for people. So if you just hang on in there and trust the process, I know that's so cliche, but it can be one day, you know, you're at the back of the quarter ballet and the next day you get the opportunity to do some awesome, cool solo part that you never thought you'd ever do in your career. So I think it's just trusting the process, knowing that the work you're putting in ultimately won't go unnoticed, even if it feels like it for a while. Like what you're doing is important, and it's not important to impress anyone else or to prove anything to anyone else. It's important for you and your development as an artist. And ultimately, if you're going through periods of frustration, it's actually going to grow you as an artist because it's going to give you that grit. I've actually been reading this book on grit recently. I think I talked about it in my last vlog, but I've been reading this book on grit and it talks about who ultimately is going to be more successful. Is it people who are naturally gifted, or is it people who have that work ethic and will just work through no matter what challenge comes their way? Ultimately, a mix of both is probably the most beneficial, but like ultimately the people with grit are the ones, I mean, who go the furthest. So hopefully that statistic is encouraging for you. Like if you've got grit, if you've got passion for something and you just decide, okay, I'm going to do this no matter what anyone else says, what my situation is saying, you have a pretty good chance of succeeding. But it's going to take a lot of time of potentially going through seasons where things don't look like they're opening up, the right pathways don't look like they're opening for you, and you're just going to have to keep walking through that, even if it's just one step in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, waking up each day and being like, I'm going to choose to be my best self, not for anyone else's benefit, but because I believe in me. And it's sometimes really difficult to believe in yourself when it feels like maybe no one else does. That's not the truth. There's always someone out there who believes in you. But if you are in that kind of season, like that's going to grow you. That builds your grit, and ultimately, as we've just established, grit equals success. So even if you're going through a season where like nothing feels like it's maybe working out for you, or you're not seeing the improvements that you want to see just yet, and you don't feel like there's anyone kind of backing you or believing in you, ultimately that is still a step on your pathway to success because you're building grit, and grit often leads to success. So don't be down on yourself. Just believe that like this is a journey you're on, and ultimately it's going to get you to where you want to be. But you have to be quite steely in that belief in yourself, and you need to be feeding yourself with things that add to that belief. If you are maybe around a bunch of friends who don't encourage you or don't lift you up or don't make you believe you can keep going, maybe you need to think about what narrative, like sometimes you can't control the people you're around, but like what you can control is like maybe listen to podcasts that really inspire you, listen to other people's stories who have also struggled in this area, like, and how they've overcome and succeeded. Like, keep feeding yourself with faith, with belief, and that's going to help you ultimately grow your mindset. It's something I actually talk about a lot on the Make It Happen mindset. It's a mindset course. It kind of gives you all the keys and tricks to kind of, not tricks, but all the keys to kind of getting yourself from where you are now to where you want to be. It's a key part of my Make It Happen Academy, which if you are wanting to achieve a goal or a dream, especially within kind of the dance gymnastics sphere, I highly recommend you checking out my academy. It is an investment of time and money, but that's exactly the way I want it to be. If you join the academy, it's like an investment in yourself of like, I'm going after this. I am going to invest in my mindset, my strength, my flexibility to get myself to that next level. You also get an onboarding 30-minute coaching call with me where we can set out like an exact plan of how we're going to get you from A to B. So if that's something you're interested in, you can email me at HannahMartinRG@gmail.com, or you can check it out on the website. Link will be in the comments or in the description. But I highly recommend, if you are looking for structure to get you from where you are now to where you want to be, do check out the Make It Happen Academy. Academy members have said that it's been so beneficial on their journeys. Right, I should probably do a little bit more stretching. Here we go. Oh, she old now. Right, there we go. Oh, I feel like my back is like the first thing to go, like in flexibility wise. Everything else stays quite flexible, but my back is always the most stiff. I don't know if anyone else finds that. But yeah, I feel like those are like the main points I wanted to cover in today's little episode, little Hannah's sermon of the day. I mean, it's not a sermon, but Hannah's little chit chat of the day. If you do like these kind of videos, please do let me know. I can definitely do more of these. But it was just a little check-in, a little sharing of the things that I'm currently struggling with and the things that I'm trying to overcome. And I'm sure there's many other people out there who may be feeling the same way. And I would love you to share your stories, share your struggles, and we can overcome them together, because this is all part of the process, all part of the journey. There are definitely days where I feel like giving up, honestly. I'm tired, I'm aching, I'm sore. I don't feel like sometimes I'm making the progress that I want to. And it's okay to say that. Like, it's okay to say, oh, you know, sometimes I feel like giving up. And it's how we react to those moments. It's how we overcome those moments, which really counts and really matters. So I really hope you are encouraged by this, and I will be speaking to you very soon in my next video. The next video will probably be a vlog. It won't just be me sitting and talking and pretending to stretch. As you can see, not much of that really happened. But yeah, there we go. There we go. Now we're stretching. Guys, make sure to check out the Make It Happen Academy, and I will see you soon. I will see you very soon, or soon, very soon, probably very soon, in my next video. Make sure to dream big and make it happen. Bye, guys.